that Indiana fans and graduates are, wearing it on their sleeves like Courtney. You're not the only one, by the way. The other person I talk to on the show occasionally is no better. In fact, I think she's actually worse. I mean, I don't know what it is with Indiana. Why can't you just enjoy the moment?
All right, so Paul Feinbaum back with us. Our girl Shay clearly watched our first segment, and she posted this. The nerve. Enjoying the moment, sure, but please. IU played Oregon twice last year, beat them by a combined 34 points. Oh, my bad. 44, but I think there's a fair gripe. I think Shay is right in all accounts. They did open the Oregon game in the Peach Bowl with a pick six, but Paul, nonetheless, your response to Shay.
Well, I can't believe she got it wrong. That's my meek response. Listen, I didn't intend to go DEFCON 1 2 weeks before the first game, but I was just simply getting it off my chest. And listen, Indiana fans have never had a moment like this. All I'm trying to say is enjoy it. Don't have that chip on your shoulder. You're supposed to act like you've been there before, just like Alabama.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of Alabama, and I know that you hate Indiana's football schedule, so I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. Let's dive right back into college football. Alabama ranked 13th in the preseason AP poll, which is the Crimson Tide's lowest ranking since 2008. The poll snaps a 17-year streak of Alabama being ranked inside the preseason top 10. That was the second longest streak in poll history, behind a 19-year streak from USC, 1965 to 1983. The Ohio State Buckeyes are on a 14-year streak. So, Paul, we're back at the touchboard, and I want to go through this Alabama schedule with you. And I want you to give us where the wins are, where the losses are, and your overall record prediction. So let's go ahead and start with that East Carolina opener.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move ahead, because unlike last year when Alabama is a double-digit favorite, lost the opener, they will win the first game. The second game is more interesting. Will Stein has a really competitive team in Lexington, but Alabama survives there. Now, what about the 19th, a rematch against Mike Norvell in Florida State? Mike Norvell is literally, we'll go ahead and put a win by Kentucky. Mike Norvell is hanging by a thread for his job. It won't matter. Alabama wins the rematch against the team that nearly wrecked their season a year ago. South Carolina has great players across the board, including Lenora Sellers. They should have beaten Alabama the last 2 years. That won't happen this year. Alabama wins. And at Mississippi State, a tougher game than usual. They have a dynamic quarterback over there. But Alabama starts the season 5-0, and everyone is loving Kalen DeBoer again. Now, on 10-10, Georgia, think about this for a second. Alabama has not lost to Georgia in the regular season. Regular season's the operative word there, since Matthew Stafford was the quarterback at Georgia in 2007. But this time, the Dogs get revenge. A loss for Alabama. Remember, Georgia beat Alabama in the SEC championship game last year, but I said the regular season. This is where it really this is the season for Alabama at Rocky Top. I don't think Alabama wins that game either. Another loss for the Tide as the season starts to spiral. But the next game is where Alabama has to win to survive, and they do. They beat Texas A&M, but the next week is off, and then they go for the game against LSU. Remember, Lane Kiffin wanted the Alabama job when they hired Kalen DeBoer. He did not get an interview. He'll get revenge on November 7th. Lane Kiffin finally gets a win against Alabama. He could not beat Nick Saban. Vanderbilt, that's a loss. Remember, Vanderbilt beat Alabama a couple of years ago in Nashville. Let's go ahead and chalk Chattanooga up. Hold on. Alabama win. Hold on. Stop. I made a mistake. Alabama wins against Vanderbilt. I'm rushing here. Alabama wins against Vanderbilt, wins against Chattanooga. Now, the season comes down to the Iron Bowl. This is a much better Auburn team here than usual with Alex Goish. Alabama wins to go 9-3, and they will literally be on the cut line of the CFP. My guess is at 9-3, they will not get in.
So it won't be one of the 12 teams in the college football playoff, but we do have 3 considerable losses to SEC opponents ranked in the AP top 25. So Georgia at home, on the road at Rocky Top at Tennessee, and then at LSU at Tiger Stadium on the 7th of November. Canty, 9-3. You think, I mean, everybody's loving Caitlin DeBoer here, as Paul Feinbaum said. By I guess, the early part of November, they're going to have, for sale signs outside of his house. How's that going to work?
The make-or-break stretch for Bama is going to be mid-November to early November, right? Those 4 games, Georgia, Tennessee, A&M, and LSU. I've actually got them splitting in those 4 games. Of course, I've got the loss to Georgia. I've got the loss to LSU, but I've got the wins against Tennessee and A&M in there. So I've got them splitting that. There's no way they make it through this stretch of games unscathed. Kentucky, Florida State, South Carolina. I think this is a true trap game, like Paul said, with Will Stein, coordinator from Oregon, coming over. Going to do some really creative things on the opposite side of the ball in Kentucky. So I'm going to say, of those games, I'm going to give the L to Bama here.
Okay.
And I'm giving them a lot of benefit of the doubt here against South Carolina because Lenore Sellers gave them fits last year at Williams-Brice Stadium. So I think they get to 9-3. I just have it looking a little bit differently than Paul does.
Yeah, and I have 10 wins. I'm going to take that Kentucky game and make it a win. I have them 10-2 with same losses that Paul had, Georgia and LSU. Let's talk about that Kentucky game. If Caitlin DeBoer starts 1-1 for Alabama, I think it's going to be ridiculous, but every day Paul will receive phone calls. Everyone wants to fire Caitlin DeBoer. Here's the problem with this. I'm going to continue to do this until anyone listens. Everyone wants to present the problem that Caitlin DeBoer is not the guy for Alabama. Okay, cool. Who is? It ain't Lane Kiffin at LSU. As Paul mentioned, they didn't even interview him, and LSU ain't allowing him out. If you want to win national championships, he sure is not the guy to hire. That's not his job as a head coach. Caitlin DeBoer, of all of the SEC coaches, the one who was in the national championship most recently is Caitlin DeBoer with Washington. I understand Alabama fans don't care about that. You've got a really good coach. But if CeCe's right and they lose to Kentucky in week 2, I don't have a leg to stand on anymore. I just have to shut up and listen to Paul, as I normally do, but not in this case.
You're right. And the problem with those who want to fire Caitlin DeBoer, Evan, and you laid it out eloquently, it would cost $70 million. And when you consider how much money goes into NIL these days, coming up with 70 to pay him off is really not in the cards. Now, they would have to lose to more than Kentucky. Courtney, I mean, if they win 7 games, he's going to be gone. But I think above that, he'll survive.
Yeah, 8.5 wins. That's the regular season win total. Lowest preseason over-under since 2008. I'm just glad Indiana's not on this schedule because they'd probably lose that game too, like they did in the Rose Bowl last year.
Courtney, he better do what Nick Saban did in 2008, which is start off ranked 24th and end up being top 10.
We'll see if that happens.
Better do that.
All right, coming up next.